Hello everyone, it's Friday, December 21st, getting close to Christmas. I want to talk to you today about a couple of things. First off, I want to congratulate those of you that did participate and called in to your congressman, and especially to those throughout America that got on and lit up the phones. This should be a case in point example of what we've been trying to get people to understand. When people started calling in and telling their congressman, you better vote for the wall, we elected you to do that. When it got to the point where they were fearing for their job, they did a miracle. They went in and they passed it. They've sent it on to the Senate. Now the Senate's a different creature. Those guys get elected every 6 years, and then they alternate, so in any election year, there's only a few that are up for election. So that's why it's harder. But folks, I would ask you all, get on your senator or senators. Get on them and do the same thing we did with the congressman. Tell them, even if they're not up for election this time, you make sure they understand we will not forget. We will not. Please do it. We've got to get the Senate to vote for it. The other thing is President Trump pulling out of Syria. And it's announced that he's pulling half of the troops out of Afghanistan. He's getting hit from all sides. Now, before we get into some of the tactical problems with what he's doing, let's go back to 2016. In the presidential election of 2016, going back to the Republican primary, the American people, or at least those that voted for Republicans, had enough. Enough of this same old thing. Enough of this, we elect somebody, they go to Washington, they told us all these things they were going to do, they go to Washington, and they don't do it. You got it? That's normal. And we have become so lazy that we've let them. But in 2016, probably half of America said enough's enough. And let's try something different. Let's try to put somebody in that's not a politician. Therefore, we elected President Trump. We elected him for his business acumen. We elected him because of much of the things he said in his campaign as common sense. So today, everybody is all panicked over General Mattis announcing his retirement because he was mad at Trump because he made the decision against the counsel of our military experts to pull out of Syria. Well, guys, I don't know what planet General Mattis was on, but President Trump said in his campaign that he would pull us out of Syria. Remember? And the general was there then. I don't think President Trump has ever said anything other than he would pull the troops out of Syria. But you see, what's happened is a crazy thing, but it's a great thing. We actually elected a president that was not, as a test, let's call it a test, we tested electing a president that was not from birth until death, a politician. He took on somebody outside the system. And look already in 2 years what he's done. He's done more in 2 years living up to the things he told us he would do than any president in modern history, probably even beyond that. Well, what about the problem, Larry, of, gosh, if all of these generals and these people that are at the Pentagon, what about them? If they say that's not a wise move out of Syria, you think it's dangerous? Well, folks, let me tell you, that region is dangerous. That region's been dangerous since biblical times. But we have two choices, as President Trump has fairly well laid out for us. We can stay there, but if we stay there, we've got to stay there forever. It ain't never going to change. The minute we leave, the minute we pull out, it's going to be just like it is now. It will probably collapse. It probably will. But in 50 years, if we pull out, it will probably collapse. President Trump's doing the right thing. President Trump has made no secret about the fact that he is all about being for America. Now, there are relationships we've got with other nations, and there's support we send to other nations, yes. But we've got a president now that identifies who he belongs to, and he belongs to us. So, I want to tell you, when people start saying to you bad things about Trump because he's pulling out of Syria, and you listen to all of these generals and the fact that Mattis and Kelly and all these other people in the Pentagon are panicking, saying the sky's going to fall, remember this. President Dwight David Eisenhower, upon leaving the White House, last kind of thing he told the American people, beware of the military-industrial complex. Beware of the military-industrial complex. Why did he do that? Because he knew that the industrial military complex, they make bullets and bombs, etc. Planes, tanks. But if there are no wars, then they don't get to build a bunch of stuff and sell a bunch of stuff. You got it? Just simple retailing, just simple marketing. If there's not a war going on and we've got our inventories full of bullets, bombs, planes, jeeps, etc., then guess what? If there's no war, we don't need any more. So it is really in the interest of the military-industrial complex to kind of try to keep us engaged in confrontations where they can build the weapons that we have to buy when we deplete ours. And they knew that by investing heavy into our politicians in Washington, that our politicians could help complete the task. Now, let's imagine Bill Clinton, Baby Bush, and Obama being president right now. With that kind of pressure from the Pentagon, from Mattis and everybody, do you think they would have pulled out? Nope. No way. But what if it's good for America to pull out? They wouldn't have pulled out. They would be listening to their money bags, and they would keep us in there. Even remember, they'll tell you they're going to get out, but when they get in, they don't, for a myriad of reasons. Guys, we need to be out of Syria. Well, but what about the Russians? They're coming in. What about Turkey? They're claiming to come in and massacre, I guess, the Kurds. All I can say to that region, to any region, to any country, it's your country. And what do you want? If a nation does not want to be taken over by Russia or Turkey or whatever, then it's up to that nation to stop it. And I assure you, you don't want to be one of 2,000 American troops, advisors on the ground in Syria when Russia and Turkey, which have proclaimed they're coming, they start getting involved. See, rules of conduct prohibits us from being able to say, come up on a Turkish soldier or a Russian soldier and shoot them. Can't do it. Don't think for a second that a Russian soldier or a Turkish soldier would hesitate a second. See, they're not held by the same standards we are. What about Iran? What about Iran? Well, folks, I say, what about it? What about it? If Iran builds a base in Syria for terrorists, We'll see it. We'll see it. And we have ample aircraft in that area. We don't have to have troops there. We got ample aircraft. We can take it out. It's not like it was when Osama bin Laden was doing all of his stuff. In that day, all he had to do was a couple of times a day, they would have to run back in and hide while the satellite passed over. Well, we don't do that now. Now we got constant visual. We've got drones that can keep us informed. It's different. But in addition to that, guys, listen, please. We, as President Trump said, we cannot be the policeman of the world. That's costing me and you, all of us. That's costing our money to do it. We're sitting here, look at the duplicity of this. We're sitting here with all of these people in Washington screaming and hollering, because they're being paid to scream and holler by the industrial military complex or by the countries that are the leadership of the countries that we're talking about. They're sitting there screaming and hollering, screaming and hollering. We got to stay there. We're talking about a wall, $5 billion for a wall to protect our southern border. Do you realize what it costs to keep 2,000 troops in Syria? Do you? Any idea? Folks, it's duplicitous. You don't want to spend money on this, but you're trying to force to spend money on it. Where are all the liberal Democrats? Where are all the liberal Democrats that are coming, that were out there saying, get out of no wage war or whatever, the hippies. You don't even hear them. You see, it's just totally get rid of Trump. Get rid of Trump. And a general, let me tell you about a general. There are generals that are good generals, that are soldiers generals. There are generals that actually do great work. But there's a problem when you get into the general category or the upper ranks. When there's a war going on or an engagement, a limited action, generals get to be somebody. You know, they're relevant. They're out there in the media. The reporters are asking them stuff. Do you ever notice if there's not a war going on, we don't have soldiers out there in an active war? They're not relevant anymore. I mean, yeah, they're doing their work and they're doing what they do, but as far as having any attention to them, they don't. They don't. So out of, out of that environment, if you were a general, don't you think you would kind of like to see us stay in war so you could be significant? You might even be a part of history. But if there's not a war, nobody's ever going to hear of you. You're going to be a general. You're going to pass through being a general, retiring, nobody ever even heard of you. We must support and back President Trump because we elected him. We elected him to do just what he's doing. Break the old patterns of Washington, the deep state, the Progressive Council. Break those patterns. Break them up. Try something different. Try a new approach. That's what we wanted. That's what we got. So, folks, if you think about it, if you want to protect us someday, maybe from some terrorist that trains in Syria because we left, supposedly, and that allowed them to train, then would you rather do it over there and pay that country millions and trillions of dollars, or would you rather have a wall down here where they can't get in? I want you to remember these things. Remember. And when people come to you and they ask you about Syria, or they say, oh my God, the sky's falling, he's getting us out of Syria, would you please tell them? Please tell them, did you vote for Trump? If they said yes, well then, did he not tell us he was going to do that in his campaign? Did we not applaud and cheer when he said, and we'll get out of Syria? I saw those rallies. You bet they did. And why are they buying into this junk now that everybody's so surprised? And remember, I'm telling you, Mattis, Kelly, they were all with Trump when he was running for the office. So they knew his position back then. So why now? Do they want to scream and holler, this is, this is against my judgment, so I'm getting out of here? You got it? Once again, I want to thank all of you that did. I want to thank all the American people that did. Get on that phone and wear it out. And let Washington's Republican congressmen know, folks, do it again. The time is now. You must do it now. You get hold of your senators. I would suggest going through the local office, because they will shut the Capitol switchboard down, and they will shut their offices down and their phones down in Washington. But you have the best chance of getting a message to them through their local office. Do it, please. Now, folks, I want to remind you, I've got 22 cents. 22, period. That's it. 22 cents. Hundreds of people have heard me ask to help, and 10 or 15 have, and I'm so appreciative of those. But will you please help? As you see, there's a lot of work's got to be done. Somebody asked me, I guess, or asked Mary Ellen, that maybe why should we support you? What is it about you? Well, let me tell you, folks. Number one, as anybody in Washington will tell you, I'm the only one ever that went after a president and got him impeached. I did do that, or at least I did a part of it. But to most people that were there, they seem to want to credit me for most of it. That's fine, but I don't. But I was a part of getting a president impeached. And it's because of what I did to get a president impeached in the system that they're using to impeach Trump that gives me a little bit better insight, folks, than most anybody on this planet, to be honest. And then I have contacts in Washington that get in touch with me. I don't call them, they call me. To try to give me what I need to know so that I can come to you, or whomever, and try to help. And there's a lot of stuff going on that you're going to hear about, I hope, in the next month. I hope. Because if we don't hear about it, next month will be the beginning of the end. So once again, I'm going to ask you, are you out there? Are you really, really there? If you are, would you please help us generate enough money to do what we've got to do our part of trying to save the country? That is nicholslive@aol.com on PayPal. nicholslive@aol.com on PayPal. You can go to nicholslive.com, which is the webpage, and there you can see the address and then the other ways to give money. But if you don't send a check. You have to send cash, because I can't get them cashed here. So, folks, please help us. And the whole purpose of this call today is to remind you, we knew what President Trump said he was going to do when he was running for office, as did everybody. He said he was going to do it. And just like all the other things he has said he would do, he's doing it. And he's trying to do the wall. He's trying to do all these things. Stand up for him like he is standing up for us. Would you? Can you? Can we? We don't need to bend over, cow down. It's hard to find any logic in a reality world. It's hard to find any logic for us to be in Syria, to be honest. Hey, if the bad guys want to take it, then it's theirs. We're not going to take it. We're just sitting there keeping it in a draw. You know what? Ties and draws don't last forever. One day, some side's got to give it up. And when you do, it's going right back where it was. So, folks, please, stand up for your country and stand up for a president, the first one in so long, that is actually trying to do what he said he would do. And he's against incredible odds in Washington, is that he represents us. And they don't want me and you having anything to do with running our country. So with that, folks, I will say goodbye. Get on the phone to your senator And if somebody says something about Trump, tell them the truth. We shouldn't be there. Thank you.